Good evening and welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, July 10. If you are watching live on Monday, July 10, we encourage you to call in if you have comments or questions. Our call-in number is 769-1677. As always, you can watch us live on Cablevision, or I guess Optimum now is the right term. Optimum or Verizon Fios cable TV, or at pctv76.org, and within a few days you can pick up an on-demand webcast of this meeting as well as past meetings at pctv76.org. A few announcements to make, but the first of them is a shout out to the extraordinary crew of people that were involved in the Pleasantville Music Festival that took place on Saturday. It was the 13th annual music festival, the biggest and most successful, I think, ever. It's an event that has stood on the shoulders of the one before every year and gotten bigger and better and better and better. Our executive director, Bruce Figler, did a bang-up job. Patty Dwyer led the village crowd, calling into service practically every warm body that we have here on the third floor and everywhere else. The folks in the finance department, the folks in public works, the folks at our Pleasantville Police Department, everybody participated in above and beyond the call of duty on a day that involved setup on Friday just as a monsoon struck central Westchester. But there were well over 300 volunteers there and probably well over 5,000 people on the field. A great day of music, 18 bands on 3 stages. The amazing thing to me is so many people make the assumption that a small village like this couldn't possibly do a thing like this and that it must be run by hired hands. And in fact, it's not run by hired hands at all. It's Bruce Figler, his crew of department heads, I won't go through the list right now because I don't want to miss anyone, and then a crew of about 300 folks from in and around Pleasantville and a few hailing from quite a bit farther than that who come to Pleasantville, New York every year and wouldn't miss this event. Special shout out to the recycling committee and the folks who did the zero waste.
That was great.
An incredible crew of people working all day long to make sure that there was as little waste as possible at this festival. Everything that could be recycled or composted was. They were on it all day. Incredible effort. Thank you, Edwin Kuo, Sharon Evrutik, Helen Muir, and a raft of other people. A shout out, as we did last year, to Trustee Lord and his accomplice, Paul Loring, who
The weather department?
who activate the once-a-year Pleasantville Meteorological Department. The weather was a little sketchy, and Steve and Paul have an aviation background and are better at this stuff, I think, possibly than weather.com is. So a shout out for you guys. You made a couple of tense moments a lot less tense and gave us a chance to plan ahead a little bit. And most of all, a shout out to the thousands of people who came, including a big percentage of the village of Pleasantville, but a really great feel-good event. Hardly any issues at all. Happy to report that the police did a great job with a firm and pleasant demeanor, the result of which was there were extraordinarily few problems. And as happens every year, a number of the bands said to me, wow, you know, this is really got a vibe that's different from a lot of the gigs we do. So even for those of you who are not interested in the music festival and didn't go, you deserve to be proud of the village you live in, that we can pull off an event like this and that there are so many people who are willing to commit their blood, sweat, and time to making it happen. So thank you to all of you. So back to the more mundane. The pool is open and rocking. We have a new concession operator and substantially better opportunities on the culinary front. There are new programs going on, interesting things starting to happen. So if you have not yet been to the Pleasantville Pool and are thinking you might want to join, we encourage you to do so. We can take new members at any time. So keep that in mind. Drive by, get a look, talk to your friends, find out how it's all going. The farm market is rocking and rolling. The amazing thing for several hours on Saturday was we had a few thousand people on Memorial Plaza at the farm market, and a few thousand people accumulating to even more down at the Pleasantville Music Festival. So I dare say that we substantially increased our population for a brief period of time. Exciting, thrilling events, both of them, and also relief to have everyone go back home and it goes back to normal. So as many of you know, the folks for Sunrise Senior Assisted Living who had filed an application for a 79-unit senior assisted living project up on the Methodist Church site on Bedford Road near Maple Hill have withdrawn that application. I read into the record their letter of a couple of weeks ago indicating that they have withdrawn their application with intent by their description to revise it and resubmit in the near future. We've invited them to come back and share with us what their plans are, and we'll report to you when they do, but as of the moment, there's no further news to report on that front. And then, as many of you also know, we held a public hearing at our last meeting for a series of zoning amendments, particularly focused on the area around Memorial Plaza and the post office side of Memorial Plaza that would modify and expand some of the zoning regulations there to allow, among other things, 4-story buildings where only 3 are currently allowed. We heard comment from several folks at the public hearing. We held open that written record for that public hearing for another couple of weeks, and in fact received a couple of comments today. We have since considered some of those things, and we'll be having another work session to consider some of the comments that were had, as well as comments that a number of the board members have offered to tweak that a little further. I think almost all of those comments would be likely to limit in modest ways some of the expanded zoning, and as a result, I don't think it's likely that we'll need another public hearing, but anybody who has an opinion on the subject is welcome to comment to any of us. The formal record is now closed, but comments are welcome up until the point when we finally vote on the zoning. So you'll hear more about that in the next month or so. Anybody else have a report to make? Okay, with that, off to the resolutions. No, hold it.
No, wait, you got
Yeah. We have a public hearing tonight. Also, an opportunity for comment from the public. Is there anyone who would like to comment here in the room or at 769-1677
on the.
on this or any other subject? No. All right. Is there a motion to open a public hearing on a local law amending Chapter 179 Water, Article 7, Cross Connection Control, Section 179-67 through 179-72?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to the public hearing on this exciting subject. Patty, you want to give the executive summary of what it's all about?
Yeah, very high-level executive summary, but we are obligated as a public water supplier to have in place a program that prevents contamination of our water supply system. And the state of New York, through its Department of Health, has created the backflow prevention cross-contamination program and has compelled all municipalities and water districts to enforce these regulations on their behalf. And what it requires is that persons in certain industries or with certain types of activities occurring on their premises are required to install check valves and backflow prevention devices in some place in proximity of their distribution feed lines on their premises, so water does not siphon back in from their drains or other plumbing supplies. So if you have a premise that has a hair salon where they do coloring and hair dye, that type of commercial activity has to be regulated under cross-connection control. Any facility that may have chemicals or the like, used as part of, their operations has to have cross-connection control. It's very rare that a residential premise would have to have cross-connection control. If some have certain home occupations, there's a likelihood that they may have to, but for the most part, this affects commercial properties. And we've had this in place since the inception of the law, which is going back, I believe at this point, at least over a decade. in Westchester County. We are just asking for some amendments to our existing code to allow people to have a better understanding of the definitions and on how it applies procedurally here to administer the program. So it's not a new program. It's been in existence for many years. We're obligated to perform certain administrative functions on behalf of the state, and we're obligated to keep some records and to make sure that these facilities get tested once a year, that those devices are working and there's no backflow or siphoning occurring.
Do we feel that most of the commercial facilities in town already have one of these devices, or is this a thing that changes any degree of compliance that already exists?
No, we don't believe anybody's in violation of the current law. This just allows us, to button up our administrative end of the
Okay,
processes and procedures.
cool.
I just noticed, I when we were working on this in work session, asked for some additional language in one of the sections, and it was implemented, but I noticed that I guess it was me who made a mistake. So I want to just correct it, and we can make this correction now. Section 179-69 has a reference in it. It references another section. It references 170-70. But I put in 169-70. So in other words, the chapter is chapter 179.
Okay.
I
Is that
asked,
true in the actual resolution? Because it looks like 169.70.
16970 is in the resolution.
and that's wrong. It should be 179.70.
Oh, okay.
The
Oh,
reference,
right.
the reference in that, I was just reading it again, and the reference is wrong. So
It's fine, it's
you
just a typo.
it's just
All right,
It's fine.
Yeah,
so
it goes
that
down to the bottom.
179-69,
Thank you.
technical
References the
standards
next
shall be adopted in accordance with section 170-70 of this chapter.
right, which is there, and that
Wait,
whole
you
section
said
is
two
there.
different things. Is it 179, 70,
179?
or 170?
Yeah, I'm sorry, 179,
179-70 is the correct reference.
referring to the very next section
Correct.
Right.
that it
So, just correct
speaks
that.
to.
We'll fix that.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Is there any comment at all on the subject of this cross-connection control? All right. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. We have closed the public hearing with little to report. I realized that I forgot to read out this list when I was making the original announcements. We're going to start next week our annual repaving work. And so starting next week and going on for a period of a couple of weeks, we will be paving this year South View Street, View Street, Garrigan, Edgewood, Meadow Lane, Columbus, Lenox, Clinton Avenue, the Wheeler Avenue lot behind Lucy's, and Village Lane down to the DPW Yard and Recycling Center. So South View, View, Garrigan, Edgewood, Meadow, Columbus, Lenox, Clinton Avenue, Wheeler lot, and Village Lane. So folks who live on those streets are about to get better, smoother pavement, but will suffer through some indignities for a few days while we grind and mill and then repave. What plan of attack do we have for folks who normally park in the Wheeler lot? I guess in the summer we have some flexibility.
Yeah, they'll get notice and
Yeah.
they'll be relocated just for the day.
Okay. All right. Before we can head into our resolutions, is there any comment from the public on any subject? All right. Nicole, 109.
Okay. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves a local law amending Chapter 179 Water, Article 7 Cross Connection Control, Sections 179-67 through 179-72 as follows. And I will read the first section on the purpose. The purpose of these regulations is to protect the water district public water supply from contamination or pollution by isolating within the consumer's internal distribution system such contaminants or pollutants which could backflow or back siphon into the public water system. That's A. And B, the the Village of Pleasantville's cross-connection control program will be accomplished by complete containment by having the consumer install an acceptable backflow prevention device in every water service line to a facility for which a potential hazard exists. And the remaining sections, which include the definitions, the responsibilities involved, and the administrative procedures, notably inspections and discontinuance, the application of fees, and the penalties for offenses are all on the record.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Judy, you got that one typo? Any comments?
Should we delineate what consumer means in the context of this law, just so people aren't now scrambling to understand if they have to put this in their house?
I mean,
For the most part, it says that the water superintendent can tell somebody they have to put it in if they have a contaminant.
Right.
And
It
in
can
the-
be a residence, it can be a business, but like Patty said, it's
Right.
primarily
This is
businesses.
Before the public session.
And in the definition section, owner, consumer, or user is the person or persons owning the premises connected with or being connected with the water system, so.
Right.
They
So
got-
the likelihood that this is mostly a commercial
Yes.
issue is
Right.
high, right? So it's not
Right,
necessarily. a
not
thing
inconceivable
Most
that it-
homeowners are
It's
gonna
very
do.
rare for a residential premise to be
Good.
affected by it.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved, 110, Steve.
Resolved that pre-check, let me try that again. Resolved that the pre-check register dated July 10th, 2017 is hereby approved as listed below. For the fiscal year 2016 to 17, from the general fund, the water fund, and the refuse fund, a total of $5,620.07. And for the fiscal year 2017 to 18, from the general fund, the water fund, the capital fund, the refuse fund, and the trust fund, a total of $237,664.07.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments or questions about the check register? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Colleen, 111.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following block party requests: Sarles Lane, Pleasant Avenue, July 22, 2017, and Guyan Street, July 23, 2017.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have, who got that?
Block parties, we love block parties.
It's Lord, by a head.
That's right.
Delighted to see the season of block parties beginning. Congratulations to Sarles and Pleasant and to Guyan Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. Joe, 112.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from the Lions Club to use Parkway Field on Saturday, July 22nd, 2017 for their annual Hole-in-One event.
Is there a second?
Second.
A great annual event that the Pleasantville Lions Club holds, and the proceeds benefit the Guiding Eyes for the Blind. So we encourage anyone who's interested to take a look at that. There are also raffle prizes. It's Saturday, July 22 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. with a rain date of Sunday, July 23, starting at 11 a.m. And perhaps the harmonica of Blues Travelers will still be hanging in the air. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 113.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the resignation letter from David McGee, resigning from his position as motor equipment operator effective July 7th, 2017, and the resignation letter is attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. We wish David good luck in his future activities. 114, Steve.
So before I read this, Joe, you had brought up
Right.
a potential correction to the side listed
Yeah,
here in
it
this.
says, so this is going to be a
Well, why don't-
resolution.
How about this?
Shall
Why
I
don't you
do
read
the
it
resolution
in,
first?
and then
Good.
we'll fix it.
Okay, good. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village clerk to notice a public hearing for Monday, July 24th, 2017, at 8 p.m. prevailing time at 80 Wheeler Avenue in Pleasantville regarding a local law amending Chapter 173, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 173-64, Schedule 16, entitled No Stopping Certain Hours, as follows. On the name of, let's see, it's No Stopping Certain Hours, on Ashland Avenue, as the resolution currently reads on the north side, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, except in July and August. And the location is 75 feet north and south of the intersection with the school access driveway.
Right, so my comment
Hold on,
was.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
So my comment was that according to the diagram, this is going to involve no parking on either side of Ashland Avenue, north and south, 75 feet north, 75 feet south of the access driveway to the school. But this says on the north side, but to my looking at that, Ashland runs north and south. So it's on
It's
either
east and
the
west.
east side and the west
Sides
side,
of the
not on
road.
the north side.
I
There is no north
believe
side.
you are correct.
So if we could just make that correction. Other than that,
East
Yeah.
side.
East and west.
East and
East and
west.
west,
west.
both sides.
Under location.
Both sides?
Under locations, both sides.
So
East and
there
west.
will be
It's
no
going to be
park,
both sides of the intersection, so yes.
Okay.
right?
Yeah, it does run.
It's on both sides of the street. It's on Ashland Avenue
Right.
side.
And the street goes north-south, so it's the east and
It's
west
the
sides
east
of
side and the
road.
west side of Ashland Avenue.
But why is it referencing
Well,
it
no,
only
no,
the
that's
north?
not true, Joe. If you, now I think.
Looking
I
at the diagram.
Oh, whoops.
Let's look at it.
I'm looking at the diagram too. I think Joe's right. The intention is to have no stopping 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on either side of Ashland,
On either,
on both sides of Ashland,
on the north end.
at a perimeter 75 feet around the driveway to the
Okay,
middle
I
school.
see it, yes.
But then it should say north and south side.
On both sides?
But it's the east and west
Right,
side.
but both, but on the side, it's only
Right.
referencing one, so
Yeah.
they
Welcome to
both
my
need to be
world.
changed.
That's
So-
exactly the
But
Sorry,
it
it
says,
should be north and south.
but it says north and south in the location. The
That's
location
right,
direct
that's right.
description is correct, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm looking, I couldn't access it, I'm looking at what's on the website, it just says north.
But the north, that's the
So
part
you're
we're
looking
talking
at-
about.
Point is-
That's what has to say east and
Point is
west.
Ashland Avenue runs
Yep.
north and south. It's
Right.
got an east side
Location
and a
is
west
correct.
side.
Yep.
So it's
All right.
side east and west. We understand.
So, and then once we implement all
That's
these
the side of the
additional,
road?
you know,
This
pavement
side.
markings and so on, the
This is
point
north,
is people
this is
can't,
south.
won't be able to stop at the driveway. You'll pull in and drop your kid off there and pull out, but there's no blocking of the driveway.
Right.
So just for, if we have successfully confused all of you who are listening,
Drawing up.
Riveting.
let me just try to clarify it. For those of you who are familiar with the intersection of Ashland and the middle school driveway, there are currently 2 striped crosswalks. One that crosses to the sidewalk side of the middle school driveway, that is the left side as you face towards the middle school, and one towards another crosswalk from Ashland to the right-hand side as you face down the middle school driveway. But there is no sidewalk on that side. So we are removing the crosswalk that is on the right-hand side of the intersection as you face the middle school, because it doesn't connect to a sidewalk on the other side. We are revising the parking arrangements so that nobody is allowed to park, stop, idle,
Line up,
text,
right, otherwise.
Facebook, any of the above, 75 feet in either direction on both sides of the street from the middle school driveway. So what we're hoping here is that during school hours, the crossing will be simplified. We are going to add a crossing guard at that location, but there will only be one crosswalk, and that crosswalk connects to the sidewalk that leads down to the middle school. And parents who are looking to drop off or pick up cannot stop on
Right.
Ashland within 75 feet of the intersection in either direction. Draconian penalties, no doubt.
Unless anybody wonder why we're doing this,
Right.
there have been complaints about hazards for kids and walking to school, and we had our engineers looked at it, and they came to us with a proposal for some design changes, including eliminating that crosswalk and adding double yellow lines right near that intersection, eliminating a little piece of a sidewalk, and also making no stopping or standing on either side. So this is part of all that to try to make the intersection and putting a crossing guard to help make it a safer
Safer
place for the
environment.
kids to walk to school.
Right. We're not trying to make it harder for everybody to get their kids in and out of school. We're just trying to make the safety of that area vastly improved over what it is now. Anybody who's a veteran of some of those mornings know that that can be a really dicey place, and kids are trying to cross that street all the time. So,
All right, so just to recap, the resolution reads as it was originally published, amended only in column 2 of the chart, which says north side will now say east and west side. The mover and seconder agree.
yes.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Whereas sealed bids were advertised in the official village newspaper and received on June 16, 2017 for janitorial services, and whereas bids were received as per the following: Divine Cleaning Services, from Yes Cleaning Services, Able Building Services, Reliable Cleaning Services. The bids started at $4,009.94 per month, all the way to $6,320 per month. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby awards the bid for janitorial services to Divine Cleaning Services, 2253 Cincinnatus Avenue, Bronx, New York, in the amount of $4,009.94 per month, subject to the submittal and approval of the required insurance certificates.
Is there a second?
Second.
When does the new contract take effect, Patty?
We're going to start August 1st. We've already gone through reference checks, and I've met with the principals of the company, so we're excited about this. It's going to save us some money,
Mhm.
and it looks like they have a competent crew being assigned here. So we'll start on August 1st.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. 116, Joe.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments. In the, a budget transfer in the general fund, $3,458 from line item for contingent to line item for planning and zoning contractual services. And to increase revenue and expenses in the general fund in the amount of $31,357 for the line item for Panther Club fees, and putting expenditure is Panther Club part-time. Revenue is Panther Club fees, and expenditure is Panther Club part-time.
Is there a second?
Second.
So the draw from contingency for planning is related to the zoning work, Patty?
It is.
Yep.
It's just about wrapping up, but that's for
Right.
master plan work.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. 117.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts a donation in the amount of $500 from Westchester Recreation and Park Society towards the Clinton Street Senior Programs.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very much appreciated. Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Steve, 118.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendment appropriating fund balance for Police Department technology improvements as follows. From the general fund in the amount of $90,000 for the account A9901.901, transfer to capital. The description is Police Department technology improvements. And then we're increasing revenue and expense in the capital fund in the same amount of $90,000. H050.5031 interfund transfer from general fund to the expenditure account H3197.201/17380 Police Department Technology Improvements. So we're really just moving it from one place to the other so we can spend it.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we're about to expend it in the next resolution.
I have a question about it.
Okay, you want to ask now, or
Right
is it
now,
about
yeah,
the
we
next
have a
resolution?
second on the motion, right? So
Yes, we do.
With the $90,000 coming from fund balance, is that part of the budgeted fund balance that we budgeted for this year's budget, or is this in addition to?
No, this was anticipated before we closed the fiscal year. We were reserving $75,000 for technology improvements
Right.
in and around the downtown and in Village Hall for better closed-circuit television systems. There's $15,000 extra that we discussed appropriating at the end of our fiscal year for the access control
So wait, is
inside
it-
the police department.
So is this being done under last year's fiscal budget or this year's fiscal budget, this current fiscal budget?
It is being,
Or a little
well, it
bit of both?
affects fund balance, so it just gets transferred into capital,
Okay,
but it comes,
But the point is, last year we we budgeted some fund balance
Yes.
into our operating budget. And then we ended up not spending it. I recall we ended up, actually, we increased our fund balance. But this year we did the same. We budgeted to use some of our fund balance for operating expenses.
Correct.
Or capital expenses, whichever. And I'm wondering if this $90,000 is part of the money that we
75.
designated
Correct.
for use
I
in this
understand.
fiscal year, or if it's in addition to that. Are we
Only,
using,
only 15,000 is in addition to it. We've already encumbered, at least in terms of our fund
I'm
balance.
not on account of a simplified mind on this, it's just, to me, fund balance is our savings account.
Yeah,
And I'm wondering if we're spending our savings beyond what we already planned to.
$15,000 in excess.
75 was
Correct.
planned, 15 is an additional scope to the project.
That would be coming out of this year's, basically, fund balance
And
analysis.
between you and our finance department, you don't feel that that's a problem?
No,
Good.
not at all, no, no. Thank you.
Nor do I mean, I think.
No,
these
not
are
that
the
I do
right-
either. I'm
yeah.
just
Okay,
asking.
yeah, no, I understand.
You know.
Okay, any other comments or questions about this resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right, now we get to spend it.
Whereas sealed bids were advertised in the official village newspaper and received on July 7, 2017 for CCTV closed-circuit television equipment, And whereas bids were received as per the following: Blue Dragon Connections in the amount of $69,930. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby awards the bid for CCTV equipment to Blue Dragon Connections in Stormville, New York.
Is there a second?
Second.
So only one bid was received.
Right.
Only one bid was received. We had 3 potential bidders. We had walkthroughs, and we had other companies interested, but we're not disappointed with this particular vendor. We know them to be very competent and capable. They worked at Pleasantville Schools for many years, setting up the systems right here in Pleasantville. So we have at least a known suitor, and we think that our estimate was about $75,000. So we're within the budget.
When will they be done?
They have we have a pretty aggressive bid schedule from the point of, I guess, project letting. We require a 30-day completion.
Okay.
Because the police department's involved, there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts here,
Right.
and we don't want it to be hanging out
Right.
there. So they have to put it all together within 30 days.
And this is increasing our coverage as well as increasing the technology of what we already have, correct?
Yes,
Yeah. Good.
a lot more range in downtown by the plaza.
Right.
Better resolution.
Better
Right.
resolution, mobile, right? It's also
Correct.
got the MP3 converter. No, I was talking to
Yes.
one of the officers about that stuff. Good.
All right, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. That's the last of our agendas. Is there any new business? Any further comment from the public? Any questions? Our next scheduled meeting is 2 weeks from today, Monday, July 24 at 8 p.m. with a work session at 7. Aha!
We have some public.
do
We have
some
public. Enter and sign in, please. Come on up.
So
So
the
you need to speak
podium
at the
right
mic
there.
so that it's a group speak. Have to ask you to identify who you are and where you live for the record.
My name is Sarah Leibowitz. I live at 30 Alpine Terrace.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Sarah Leibowitz, 30 Alpine Terrace. It's outside the village.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Lucia King, 49 Romer.
Tom Schingler, 123 Great Oak Lane.
Okay,
Welcome.
welcome. What's on your mind?
Okay, well, we're here because we're representing some families that are at Bedford Road School, and
Mhm.
we'd like to appeal to the town to expand the Panther Club program.
Oh, cool.
Currently, there are slots for 100 students, which is a 16th of the BRS population. So right now, at, what was it, Saturday, there was maybe...
Well, it's not, I mean, there are not 1,600 BRS kids, are there?
No, I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
not very good at math.
Yeah,
there's
whatever.
very-
It's not that bad.
There's around 600.
I'd love 60.
Yeah.
There's about 600. There's about a sixth.
I would get lost there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Six.
Wait,
Um,
Pleasantville's
Right.
gotten big.
How'd that happen?
sorry, keep going.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So it's there are very few slots for a large group of kids. So right now, the talk is that there's within the first weekend that there was Panther Club sign up. I think 88 slots filled up
Right.
quickly, and now there's a bunch of families on the waiting list.
There's a waiting list.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So we're here because we talked about it, and we would like to, talk about expanding the program, which is amazing and great and is far superior than the YMCA, but we'd
Thank
like
you.
the opportunity for all kids.
All right, so thank you for that, and we obviously will talk about that. Here's what I know right now, and this is just fast-moving stuff. Among our problems here is whether we can staff a bigger program. It is not the easiest thing in the world to find folks who are looking to work for that specific time slot and are qualified to do it. So that's been one of our constraints. Obviously, we'd have to go back to the school district and talk to them, which they would be more than happy to entertain the discussion. I don't want anyone to misunderstand what's going on here. I think our primary constraint is, can we staff it? And we don't want to overpromise something that we can't deliver. There are some other technical issues about licensing and all of that based on the thresholds and all of that. I don't know that any of those are necessarily insurmountable, but have I fairly described the issue, Patty?
Yeah, right now we are licensed for 100 participants, and that license is good for 2 years. We can apply for an amendment to the license, but we need to demonstrate that we have sufficient space for that population, and we need to demonstrate we have all of the infrastructure in place. It doesn't require additional nursing. I'd asked that today.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Good.
But it will require some higher level staff
So right now,
and different ratios.
am I correct, we have 10 families on the wait list?
We have more.
More than 10 now?
Yeah.
More than that.
Wow.
We expect more too. We have,
Yeah.
I think we have.
So do you guys have a sense for how much pent-up demand there is yet to be realized?
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I'm new to town. It's my
Welcome.
first
Glad
year.
to have
It's
you,
a
yes.
wonderful town. I'm
Yes.
very happy to be here with my twin girls who are 5 and going
Oh,
into
great.
first grade. So last year was our first year in town. I know last year was the first year of Panther Club. And
Right.
so, and the buzz was maybe slow to catch on. And I registered when we moved at the end of August. So I
Mhm.
can't imagine that there aren't people who have, you know, a time frame in mind for
Right.
later in the summer and as plans come together and you're really thinking seriously about the fall. So I'd be shocked if it didn't grow, frankly. And I think it's over 10 families, but I have 2 kids in my family, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know, you know.
Right.
Right.
Right, it could be more than 10 people,
Right.
it could be 20 people, it could be 15
Yeah,
people.
Yeah.
I
So,
think there's
so are
15
we,
on
are
the
we
list.
full up now with 100 kids, is
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
We're at capacity. We
And
have
the-
15 on the waiting
The
list.
meteorological department during the music festival sat at the desk where that list is sitting, and it's larger than 10 families.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Already, I
15
think.
families, I
think,
believe.
yeah.
And also,
Oh.
please, yeah.
One thing I wanted to add too on the other options is that I'm sure you're aware that there used to be more than one option. So at one point, I've been in Pleasantville for 5 years. Our kids have been in the after-school program since they started kindergarten. And at one point, there was 3.
The Y, the
Wheezy
Rosenthal Y,
and
yeah, right.
JCC.
That's
Yeah.
easy, you're
Right.
Those are
yeah,
3.
yeah.
That's
Right.
right, I remember.
JCC went away,
Right.
Wheezy went away, and
The Y
last
went
year the
away.
Y actually ran for a couple of months, but
Right.
it was effectively put out of business
Mhm.
because the Panther Club is an excellent program, but today it means that for the families that are on the wait list, there is no other institutional option. So
Right.
what we're forced to do is to go out and hire childcare, which we're becoming employers, and there's our own state regulation we have to deal with there as
Right. Yeah, yeah,
employers.
yeah, yeah.
We do it in the summer. We'd much prefer to use the Panther Club, so I didn't want to stress that too, and we don't want to be in a position where the families that are on the wait list would push families out. That's something that's been discussed, where families that weren't able to pay on time would actually be pushed out, and the families that were on the wait list would be offered their spots. And
You mean if somebody missed a deadline for
Right.
paying it?
correct. And I think I can speak for certainly us that we're very uncomfortable with that concept
Yeah.
as people who need after-school care. So
Thank you.
Well, I know.
We reasonably do.
Right, I don't, here's what I can promise you, we'll look at this
Well,
in every
yeah,
which way and
definitely
backwards.
look
And circle back to the school district about what issues they may have, if any. I don't think that issue has been engaged yet. Really, I think the core problem for us is, can we expand the staff to expand the demand?
So
To meet demand.
When the JCC was going out of business and we were notified of that, our parks, our recreation superintendent, Linda Bellafato, came to us through Patty Dwyer and said, we ought to try to do something because people are gonna need this. So, and we certainly wanted to be sympathetic to that, and we didn't know if it was gonna work or not, if it was gonna be a cost center or a profit center, we didn't really care. We wanted to do something and make it happen. Turned out to be a great program. Linda put together a terrific program, got good people in there, and it's working so well. So just so you understand, we are completely on board with the idea. The only thing is there are those practical and logistical problems that we need to figure out and sort through and hopefully make it work. So, for me, I would just say if we can make it work, we'll make it work. It's just a question of can we make it work? To what degree? Can it be an extra 5 kids or 10 kids or 20
Yeah,
kids or
where
50
those
kids?
break
I
points
don't
are.
know. And can we find the
They're
staff, just
bigger-
what the
they're
mayor
big
said, can we find the
numbers.
staffing and so
So
on.
it breaks at like 50.
Yeah, it
But-
doesn't break at 220, at 125. It goes up substantially, and then the requirement for your staffing changes. So
you
you
have
have to have more certifications and more professional licenses.
But I think we should
which
make it-
isn't beyond the.
No, I just think we should make all
We'll lay it
necessary
out.
efforts to.
It's not just hiring like 10 people.
No,
try to
I'll
make it
lay out
happen.
the thresholds. I had a conversation
Yeah.
just this morning with the woman at Family Services of Westchester, just to get an understanding, and she's she assured me that, they would work with us if we were going to grow this
Okay, good.
program, but we had to reapply for a license all over again. So, they just don't amend your existing license, it's resubmit all of the,
How, do you have, just ballpark quickly, how long does it take them to turn that around?
I'd asked her that, she said, she can't speak for the others that are involved in the inspections and some of the other due diligence on their part, but she can't imagine it would be more than, 6 to 8 weeks
Okay.
for them to say that they can.
That's about
Yeah,
what
but-
we've got.
I was just gonna say.
Well, that's if I gave them an
Right.
application today, which
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
if-
have an
yeah.
application.
Gotta try it.
So-
You've got to get the.
All right,
So
so
the
here's-
bottom line is, we're going
Say
to.
they bump you to 200, do you have to
Right.
staff to 200 whether you have those kids or not, or can
No.
you still staff to the enrollees?
No.
No,
just
you
came up.
staff to what you license, but it
Yeah.
changes what you're
Yes.
required to have. So,
Yes.
like,
They're-
we don't
they're
need a
different.
nurse,
Correct.
but we need, 2 master's degrees, or,
Right,
Yeah, I mean, there
it's a
are,
it just changes.
there are different.
Steps
Yeah, I
up.
will say, I
And
mean,
also, we're
it's,
using the school facility.
Right.
We happen to have in the room with us 2 school board members, so you're hearing this, that's another thing we have to come to the school and talk to you all about, so.
Yeah.
all right, so
Take a good
here's,
look at it,
we'll
though,
we'll
see
look
if
at
we
this,
can do it.
we're looking at this week.
Yeah.
I think what you're hearing is all of us would like to do exactly what you're asking us to do. And if we can see our way to deliver that promise, we certainly will. The staffing piece, at least the conversation I had today, may be a tough one. Is that,
It's hard, it's very hard, you're
Yes.
asking somebody to work, basically the school year on an after-hours basis, part-time.
And a lot of these people are booked.
We've got some
like
great
people who
people
needed
right now.
work.
Right.
We're
They have
So-
very lucky.
I am,
I mean, that, we'll,
the last thing we
We'll
want
do
to
our
do
best to try to
is
put
leave
something
anybody in the
together.
lurch. I recall being in your circumstance
July, August.
years back and know what that's like. If there's any good news out of all of this, it ratifies that it's a great program, and kudos to everybody who's involved for that. So, all right, if you want to leave your contact info with Patty and Judy, just so we can get back to you guys specifically for sure, we'll be talking about it this week and see what we can change.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for
talk
coming
to
in.
us. Yeah.
So,
you.
I also have just one clarifying question because my husband's gonna just grill me when I get home.
Okay.
Is this something